SZA has officially released her second album 6 years after her debut album, Control, which proved to be one of the most essential releases of the 2010s, promptly helping redefine R&B and setting a new tone for alternative R&B and pop acts. The album ended up becoming a massive success, and with such a lengthy break, it could have easily hindered her, but it did the exact opposite, further building more anticipation for her sophomore release. A huge reason for SZA's increased popularity during her time of not releasing an album is her and her team's focus on releasing singles during that time, such as the pop smash Kiss Me More alongside Doja Cat, which landed both SZA and Doja Cat their very first Grammy Award. The soft, psychedelic Good Days showed a more optimistic side of SZA, landing her yet another top 10 hit. She also had accidental hits, with songs she had posted on social media previously but had never officially released, such as I Hate You and Shirt, with the former peaking at number 7 and the latter peaking at number 11. It showed that people were truly hungry for new SZA music, but there was a bit of uncertainty leading up to the album, with SZA expressing uncertainty with her music as well as very public frustrations with her label, openly stating that they were hindering her from releasing new music. She has said that the album would be coming multiple times throughout 2022, yet it did not come. And before you know it, the official album release date and actual release seemed to arrive very suddenly, right before the year ends. There was no huge build-up to the announcement of the album. It almost felt very spontaneous. But SOS is now in the world, and it's her most varied album yet and also her longest, clocking in with a total of 23 tracks and over an hour of music. It is also on track to becoming her most popular record, breaking numerous streaming records and being lauded with critical praise. Whatever the holdup was with releasing this album, it clearly isn't holding her back. The album cover was inspired by Princess Diana and was meant to depict isolation. SOS is, however, not a linear album. It goes in many different directions topically and sonically. I would say the production on SOS is much more accessible and contemporary sounding than Control was at the time of its release. You could argue that it's partially due to the sound of Control becoming increasingly popular during her break, but also the album is generally embracing a bit more trendy and contemporary sonics, regardless of her previous work. Off the bat, we are immediately introduced to SZA, the rapper, a stark contrast from the soft acoustic opener Supermodel from her debut. Instead, on the title track, SZA sounds infused with fury. It's a simple piece of chipmunk soul, where SZA's just going off, and also confirms that she got her butt done. For anyone that was wondering, I don't think it's the strongest opener. SZA's rapping is a bit awkward, and her reflections on the track aren't exactly complimentary. But I view it more as a statement piece than a constructed song, before the album actually begins. The album really begins for me on the second track titled Kill Bill, which is dark but very funny and playful, where SZA contemplates offing her ex, and is one of the most instantaneously catchy songs on the record. It has a simple but nice bass groove, and some eerie synths that really set the mood on the song. On Seek and Destroy, she covers her self-destructive behaviors, with funny lyrics such as, "Now that I've ruined everything, I'm so free." The album often talks about self-sabotage and has a very vengeful tone at times. On Blind, she talks about opting for revenge instead of peace. She kind of acknowledges that she could do better, but there's a sort of comfort that comes with her dysfunction. It's a simple acoustic song with a very feathery and pretty vocal performance on the chorus. Gone Girl is more classic SZA to me, some piano neo-soul that sounds like it could have been a part of the Control album. It kind of reads to me as a sequel to 20-something, and it talks about the very hard process that can come with growth and not being pulled back into something that isn't good for you. Smokin' on My X-Pac is another piece of chipmunk soul, and a more concise offering of SZA rapping, but it feels more like an interlude and segue into the second half of the album, which introduces even more sonic diversity onto the album. On Ghost in the Machine, SZA and Phoebe Bridgers play on each other's styles over a sparse electronica beat, where they kind of talk about life in the public eye and also wanting to be humanized beyond their celebrity. SZA pleads for humanity on the hook, and also references how being in the public eye can affect personal relationships. Phoebe comes in with some funny lyrics such as, "You said all of my friends are on my payroll. You're not wrong, you're an asshole." The album completely gets thrown in a different direction sonically with F2F, a pop-punk song in the mold of acts such as Avril Lavigne. The song is co-written by Lizzo, and it talks about not being able to let go of an ex, but it's delivered in a very daring way, where she basically tells the ex in the song that she's fucking another guy because she misses him. "I fuck him cause I miss you," the chorus reads, which is a very ballsy and funny thing to say. On the following track, SZA makes a more somber approach with the country pop crossover, "Nobody Gets Me," where she continues to talk about longing for someone and opens up about her failed engagement. "You proposed, I went on the road. You was feeling empty, so you left me. Now I'm stuck dealing with a deadbeat. If I'm real, I deserve less. If I was you, I wouldn't take me back. I pretend when I'm with a man, it's you." Very confessional track. Special is a lo-fi ballad where SZA openly talks about her issues with body image, but more so wanting to feel special in the eyes of the person she loves. The Travis Scott collaboration tacked on at the end of the album, called Open Arms, does not recall the greatness of their past collaboration Love Galore. In fact, the song would be much better without Travis Scott. He doesn't deliver a great verse and sounds a bit disjointed in the song, with a lot of robotic crooning. The end of the album is packed with a lot of the viral and successful tracks over the past year or so, such as Shirt, I Hate You, and Good Days, with the breezy Good Days continuing to be a highlight of the album. The album ends much like it started off, with an uber confident rap from SZA, but this time around with a verse taken from deceased hip-hop icon, Old Dirty Bastard. The main critique with this album is it is too long. I think some of the songs are redundant, and certain songs express what she conveyed much better. I think it would have been much more fluid if it was around the same length as Control, and she could have added the rest of the tracks to a deluxe edition. The album is very versatile, and I will say I don't think every beat did her justice, whether that be with her performance or lyrics. I think some songs definitely could have been supported by better production. Some of the production is a bit too general. But I will say no matter what style she takes on, SZA is identifiable as a lyricist and singer. There wasn't one moment where I felt like SZA got lost in the mix, as far as her presence being there in the song. SOS overall is much more vindictive. SZA expresses a lot of anger and then she goes to being sad, then she's optimistic, and I think it does a great job of showing how messy and chaotic isolation and growing can be. It definitely builds upon a lot of the topics Control talked about, but it's not a revamp of Control, it's a true follow-up. Ultimately, the album definitely could have benefited from being shorter, but I still think it is a solid release from SZA. With the release of this album, there has been some speculation of whether SZA is quitting music or not, which some seem to believe that's why there are a lot of tracks on the album. SZA has always had the desire to retire early, and has expressed that numerous times. In 2018, she is quoted saying, "My world got so much smaller so fast. I have so much to write about. I feel like I'm in a cage. I'm making the best album of my life for this next album, and I know that because it's going to be my last album." During another interview, she said, "This is a space where I feel like I'm growing and have a good time. I'm learning a lot, but sometimes it gets to be a lot, and I feel like I can't grow in this space, like I have to do something different to grow." She also said that she had a short attention span, and that she doesn't like to do things when they aren't fun or she can't grow anymore. In a recent interview for the SOS album, she expressed that she felt a lot of pressure for this album, and that she can't wait to get away. While she hasn't outwardly confirmed that this is indeed her last album, she does seem a bit turned off by the music industry. Now, if this was another artist, it would be easier to brush off, because a lot of acts claim they're retiring and began releasing music again. But in SZA's case, especially considering the gap between both albums and her lack of embrace of celebrity, it seems plausible. I don't exactly expect SZA to vanish into thin air. I'm sure she'll still do some features and drop some songs every now and then, but I don't expect another album from her for a long while, if ever. But SOS is certainly not a bad send-off.